So if you go looking around the web for a definition of what a container is, you'll often see people comparing containers to virtual machines. And true, there are some similarities, but there's so many things that just aren't the same. I want us to back up and say, let's not even compare them to virtual machines, because really, they're just a process. They're a process running on your host operating system, in our case, Linux, and let's take a look, because it's super easy to understand the concept. It's really just a restricted process inside our host operating system and nothing like a virtual machine. So let's start up a Mongo database. We're going to call it Mongo. We're going to run it in the background, and we're using the Mongo image. All right. We can see that it's running. And Docker also has something called Docker top that will let me list the processes that are running inside a specific container. And we'll see there that we have a single process called MongoD, and we can see its PID, which is its process ID. And we can also do that from the host. Because this is just a process running on our host operating system, any host tool that I would use to look at processes is going to see this process. So we can use a process list, for example. I'm going to list all of them on the system. And you'll actually see in here, if I search, one of them is called MongoD. You'll even notice that it's actually running under a different process ID than the rest of the system. And that's just because of the security layers that we'll talk about with containers and how they're a little different than regular processes running on the host. But we can clearly see here, this is a process on the host. It's not hiding inside a virtual machine that we can't get access to. It's right there in front of us. If I stop this container, we can do a Docker PS. You'll see it's not running. We can do a Docker top Mongo. It's not actually going to give us anything because the container's not running. And if we do a PS AUX and we search for Mongo again, we're not going to see anything highlighted in that list, right? I'm actually searching inside my terminal. An easier way to do this would be to do PS AUX and then use grep, which is a filtering tool that will look through the output, and we can tell it to look for the word Mongo. And the only thing it's actually going to find is the command that I just run to search for the word Mongo. It's listing that. We would expect to see another command here right below it, another output of a process, if it was indeed running. And so we can start back up again, Docker start Mongo, because that container was still there, just not running in the background, kind of like a stopped process. And we can do a Docker PS again, and it's back to running again. We can do a Docker top Mongo again and see that there's one process again running inside the container. It's just been started new. It's only been up for 6 seconds, as we can see here. And if we do a PS AUX grep Mongo, you'll see that I'm now actually seeing the MongoD process.